on today's show how Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason helped carry the Houston Rockets to a 117-104 win against the Memphis Grizzlies. Jeff Green with a late start, missing the first half of this game, but showing up in a big way in the second half. And then Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun benched. It's all coming up right here at Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start.
Throw it up to Jalen Green.
Sengun here in the short roll. Oh my, that's the no look.
Jabari for three and the win. Yeah!
Look at Tari Eason.
Here comes Tari.
No!
T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal.
The Houston Rockets select Ime Thompson and Cam Whitmore.
One thing I have never done is not made the playoffs, and so we want to take that step here as well.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian and a credentialed media member. I'm also the host of Locked On NBA Mondays. Be sure to follow along on Twitter at JT Gatlin, and the show, of course, at Locked On Rockets, free and available wherever you listen to your podcasts, including YouTube. Now, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. And as always, thank you so much for making Locked On Rockets part of your day every single day, whether it's on your way to work, on your lunch break, in the gym. Thank you for being an everydayer. Thank you for making the show part of your day every single day. 117-104 win against the Memphis Grizzlies. And look, this was a game that the Rockets were supposed to win. The Grizzlies are awful this season. They were 9.5-point favorites coming into this game. They didn't even have Desmond Bane in this game. And yet the Rockets, kind of similar to the Spurs game, right? Playing down to their level of competition a little bit. Ime Udoka said post-game that they were kind of sleepwalking at times. It felt like in that first half, even though they were up, even though they took a 14-point lead in the halftime, 57-43, they only allowed 43 points. A big part of their first half success was due to the play of the Rockets bench unit, even despite the fact that they didn't have Jeff Green playing off the bench in that first half. More on that a little bit later. The issues really showed up in the third quarter, where they just completely fell asleep at the wheel in this game. And we're going to unpack why that is and some of the struggles and frustrations from Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun in this game. But the two guys that I want to talk about here off the top are the two guys who were the two best players in this game, Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason. Jabari Smith Jr. was the one starter who actually showed up in this game for the Rockets. Fred and Dillon closed the game as part of that five-man unit in the fourth quarter that played the entirety of the fourth quarter, but they still weren't great. They kind of woke up and started playing better in that fourth quarter, but they were bad throughout the game. Jalen was bad. Sengun was bad. Jabari was phenomenal, and Tari was incredible. The 2022 draft class basically carried the Rockets to this win. Jabari Smith Jr. in this game, 20 points on 7 of 10 shooting. He was 3 of 5 from three-point land. He had 10 rebounds. 2 of them were offensive. And then he had 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. Was a plus 11 in his 30 minutes of action. And he wasn't even the Rockets' best player. That's the crazy part. Jabari had a phenomenal game. And then Tari Eason was like, hang on, let me one-up you real quick. And Tari Eason basically one-upping his own game, his massive performance against the San Antonio Spurs, because in this one, he had a career-high 25 points in just 27 minutes off the bench. He was 10 of 16 from the floor, 3 of 5 from long distance. He had 14 rebounds, 6 of them on the offensive glass. He had an assist, he had a steal, and he had a block, a massive block against Jaren Jackson Jr. And Tari's energy and his impact, his spark off the bench was instrumental in the Rockets being able to win this game. And that's why he closed out this game. He's closed out back-to-back games now. Tari Eason impacts winning at such a high level. He does, like, as far as all the advanced metrics are concerned, as far as like net rating when he's on the court, defensive rating numbers, all of it, Tari impacts winning maybe more than any other player on this Rockets roster. He goes out there, and the Rockets flat out, just the easiest way to say it, they win the minutes that Tari Eason is on the floor. It's that simple. He defends at such a high level. He generates second, third, fourth opportunities offensively by attacking the offensive glass. It feels like the Rockets as a team collectively, not just Tari Eason, but as a team, have found a way to still be able to attack the offensive glass without, conceding or giving up transition opportunities, which is really important because last year they were great at attacking the offensive glass, but they were awful at defending in transition. Now it feels like they're starting to get into a rhythm where they can still understand how to get back and how to play good transition defense, but also still have those chances to generate second and third opportunities offensively by attacking the glass situationally. So I could not be more impressed with what Tari Eason is doing. He looks like he's really starting to settle in. Remember, he missed the first chunk of the season. This was only his, 10th or 11th game so far this season. So he's looking like he's settling into a groove, getting more comfortable, and offensively, Tari's a guy that hangs his hat on his defense. So when you get a 25-point night from Tari Eason where his offensive production is off the charts, that's like the cherry on top of an already incredible player that you're going to get that kind of offensive production from. So loved what we saw out of him, the physicality, the rebounding, the defense. He gives all of it. Right. And then Jabari Smith Jr., who continues to get better and better with each passing day. It really feels like we are witnessing in real time the Jabari Smith Jr. leap as he's become increasingly more comfortable, and he's becoming a more dynamic offensive player. That's the crazy part, is not only has his defense been getting better and better and better, he's playing with more physicality. He's able to switch across multiple positions and guard, whether it's guarding bigs, whether it's being physical, whether it's attacking the glass, closing out defensive possession strong, and then also guarding smaller guys out on the perimeter, right? Switching his feet, getting low in his defensive stance, not allowing easy opportunities, for the offensive player. He's really grown a lot as a defender this year, but he's also becoming a more dynamic offensive player where he's able to now put the ball on the floor and attack and generate opportunities for himself, for his teammates. He's knocking down the shots that he's getting offensively. Again, 7 of 10 shooting. That's incredible efficiency from Jabari Smith Jr. And it wasn't just all like catch and shoot opportunities. Like, he's driving, he's finishing through contact, he's attacking off closeouts. We're really seeing a well-rounded offensive approach from Jabari Smith Jr. So I wanted to shout out those two guys specifically because they were instrumental in this Rockets win. And the vibes are absolutely immaculate, so much so that we had a guest reporter show up post-game during Jabari Smith Jr.'s post-game interview.
I believe we have a guest reporter who would like to ask a question.
Yeah, Tari Eason, Clutch City Inquirer. I've seen you, get to the paint these past few games. Unlike I've really ever seen you get there before. Would you say you're on your bully this season? Do I have to answer this?
No comment.
Yeah, I'm on my bully. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I swear, the like bromance and the love between Jabari and Tari is so wholesome. Like, again, when guys are drafted together, when they come in as part of the same draft class, there's always like a special connection there. But seriously, Jabari and Tari, like, they are so connected, and like you could say that. First off, Tari is just a menace. He loves those situations where he can jump in on the scrum. Remember back during his summer league when before he played even a second of NBA basketball, he asked Jae'Sean Nix a question in the scrum, and just like his little reaction when Jabari answered, he's like, "Yeah, I'm on my bully," and he goes, "Yeah," like walking away from the huddle. Oh, it was so much fun. Those two actually wound up. They were playing rock, paper, scissors before doing their availabilities to decide who would go first. And Tari actually won they did best 2 out of 3, and Tari won, so he got to do his availability first. Just the vibes were awesome after this win. But there were some concerns about this game, namely the lack of urgency, the lack of desire to play from the starters, namely Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun. We're going to unpack some of their struggles, as well as how instrumental Jeff Green was in this game despite missing the first half. We're going to get to all of that and a few more things coming up here in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel, because right now new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins, and all you have to do is wager $5. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action. Right now, you can take a look at the outright betting favorites for Super Bowl 58. The San Francisco 49ers running away with it right now, plus 260 favorites to win it all. Behind them, the Baltimore Ravens at plus 600, Kansas City Chiefs at plus 650, Philadelphia Eagles at plus 750, and rounding out the top five, the Miami Dolphins at plus 800 to win the Super Bowl this season. You got to check them out. The app is so easy to use. They've also got you for spreads, player props, over-unders, so many different options over at FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started this NFL season. Again, that's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. And continuing on here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. Now, some exciting news is Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every single league. So go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Now, really quickly, before we get into some of the bad from this win, talking about why the Rockets bench had to rescue them in this game, I wanted to give a quick shout out to my guys, Craig Ackerman and Ryan Hollins, on the broadcast, because I guess I made an appearance on the broadcast. I got a bunch of like texts and messages on Twitter about it. Wearing the little segment that they did highlighting the new Rockets practice facility, and I guess I was there with the hard hat and the high vis vest, and then I guess Hollins gave me the shout out for wearing it on our most recent show. So shout out to my guy Hollins, always love there, and we'll have him back on the program here soon. Love always having him on and hearing his thoughts about the team. And also, shout out to Rockets courtside reporter Vanessa Richardson for her incredible walk-off interview with Tari Eason, because he gave us an absolute gem that we're going to have to use a lot here on the show moving forward.
You and Coach Udoka seem to be kindred spirits and share that gritty mentality. Why are you able to thrive under him?
He's a dog. You know, we got coaches are dogs. All the players are dogs. I'm a dog. That's just what it is.
Dogs, all dogs on the Rockets roster. That's a quote that I'm going to get a lot of use of out of this season. The newest addition to the soundboard.
Coaches are dogs. All the players are dogs. I'm a dog. That's just what it is.
Shout out to Vanessa for the awesome walk-off interview. Shout out to Tari for the amazing answer. I'm going to be getting a lot of use out of that quote all season long. But look, the vibes were awesome. Great game from Tari. Great game from Jabari. I'm glad the Rockets got the win, but it wasn't all sunshine and roses, unfortunately, because the Rockets did have some frustrations in this game, namely the fact that the starters were really kind of out of it, right? Ime Udoka said post-game that it was great to have the contributions from the bench guys because of some of the play of the starters. So let's run that back right now.
Welcome sight to have those guys back and the energy, change the pace that they bring. And to your point, it's a little sluggish at times, and they infused some energy and obviously got us a lead and then got it back in the fourth quarter.
What did you see from that lineup that you played the entire fourth quarter?
Energy, effort, enthusiasm to play. Looked like they wanted to be here. And that was a result, getting the lead back up. But they played hard, switched a lot, got stops, got out in transition, attacked the offensive glass, and won the game for us.
Does that mean you weren't seeing those things from the guys who didn't close the fourth quarter in tonight's game?
Yeah, I mean, I think other than even in the first half when we had the lead, didn't feel like we were playing great. Looked like we were kind of sleepwalking out there. So they came in and got the lead in the first half. We lost it in the third quarter. Obviously, giving up 38 in that quarter, it was a little embarrassing there. We were, you scored 43 in the first half and 38 in that quarter. And to get it to a close game, and then to win the last quarter by 12 is a great job. So yes, they gave us a big boost.
Definitely a big boost from the guys coming off the bench in this one, because look, frankly, the starters just didn't have it in this game. And I definitely want to focus in on Jalen and Sengun here in a minute, because I've got thoughts. I've got plenty of them on their struggles. But I want to highlight here Jeff Green, because first off, Jeff Green was actually he was at Toyota Center. He went through pregame routine, warm-ups, all that. And then he had to leave Toyota Center due to personal reasons. And he was unavailable for the first half of play, which is why the Rockets got, they used Jock Landale. So we saw some Jock Landale minutes in this game because Jeff Green just wasn't available. And you know what? I will say, despite how frustrating the play has been from Jock Landale through various points this season, I will say that the minutes that he did play were actually relatively solid in this game, because that's kind of how bad Alp was in this game. Jock Landale, in the 10 minutes that he played, he was plus 13 in his 10 minutes on the floor. So him and the second unit. Now, granted, it was great to get Jeff Green back out there in the second half. So Jeff Green made it back to Toyota Center from whatever personal things that he was dealing with. Hope everything's okay with Jeff, with his family, with whatever he was having to deal with. But he made it back to Toyota Center, and he was able to play in the second half. And there is a calm that Jeff Green provides to that second unit. So first off, Jabari and Tari were both, effusive in their praise of Jeff Green, or have been effusive in their praise of Jeff Green this entire season. But something about what he provides to that second unit, the calm that he gives, he's a leader out there. He's like having another coach on the floor. And I really do feel like the second unit just clicks a lot better when he's out there, both defensively, offensively. On defense, they're able to switch everything 1 through 5 when Jeff is out there. On offense, they're able to play with 5-out spacing. He's a great screener. He attacks well, and we saw that on display in this game. He had 9 points on 3 of 3 shooting in 13 minutes of run. So, Jeff was fully in attack mode this game. But I thought what was really important from Jeff was his messaging post-game about the success in this game, and about kind of the energy being different, because Ime highlighted there, right, that the guys that he closed the game with, so the lineup, it was Fred, Dillon, Jabari, Tari, and Jeff, were the 5-man lineup that closed the game, that played the entire fourth quarter because the other guys sat and Ime benched them. Jeff said, look, we're a team. This is what Jeff said post-game. He said, we're a team, and there are going to be some games where guys just are struggling, or guys don't have it. And that's why we're a team, is we come together, and that's what we were able to do in this one, is we came together, and me and, Tari, and, we had it going in this game, so we were able to close this one out. And there's going to be some games where maybe I don't have it, or some games where Jabari doesn't have it, or whatever. And I'm paraphrasing here, but I really thought it was an important takeaway here. And that's that mentality from Jeff, where he didn't make it about him. He didn't, parade himself as the champ, and, oh yeah, I'm the savior. I came in and, we closed this one out. He basically was like, no, we're a team. We're going to figure this thing out. Right. I love that mentality from him. I loved what he had to say post game about this win, about how the Rockets were able to close this one out, about how they were able to be effective, and how they were able to answer the issues in this game that the starters were maybe having, and that they were able to come in and, like Ime said, right, change the energy, change the flow of this game. And I think that's really important, right, is Ime has shown us a lot this season that he has zero issues with going with whoever he thinks gives him the best shot to win a game. And so he said it in the offseason when he was doing his, when he did his introductory press conference. He said it during media day, that minutes are not guaranteed. You're going to have to play. You're going to have to earn your keep and earn your spot on this team. And in this game specifically, Tari Eason, just like last game against the Spurs, he earned his right to be out there to close this game because he was the best player on the floor for the Rockets. Jabari Smith Jr. earned his minutes in this game. Jeff Green earned his minutes in this game. Even Fred and Dillon, who struggled a lot early on in this game, kind of started to wake up there in that fourth quarter, and they closed out the game strong. So Ime goes with whoever gives him the best chance to win a game. And unfortunately in this one, that was not Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun, who, to Ime's quote, right? He felt like they were kind of sleepwalking there in that first half. I want to talk about Jalen and Alp here coming up in just a moment, as well as some final thoughts from this one. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by Dave. Look, at one point in time or another, we all need a little financial help. That's why Dave is great. Dave can get you cash when you need a hand between paychecks and can help you build credit by settling extra cash advances on time. Dave is the banking app that's leveling the financial playing field. When you download Dave, you could get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. It's part of Dave's extra cash account advance, the money you need with no interest, and then settle up later on. Download Dave today at dave.com/LockedOnNBA. That's dave.com/LockedOnNBA. Again, you could get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check and no late fees. Download the Dave app right now or go to dave.com/LockedOnNBA. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Eligibility criteria and instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve, member FDIC. And final segment here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. Let's tackle here a little bit the bad from this game against the Grizzlies. First off, I will say that, I'll intro this with a caveat. There has been a flu going around this Rockets team, right? It's been hitting some of the coaches. It's been hitting the players. Tari Eason's the most recent victim, I guess, kind of recovering from it. Reggie Bullock, even, I believe, was dealing with it a little bit in this game. There's been a flu basically making its way around the Rockets locker room. So I will say maybe it has made its way to Alp and or Jalen Green. But I'm not going to give them an excuse for this game. They both played awful. I thought this was Alp's worst game of the season, frankly, quite honestly. And for Jalen, I thought he had some moments early, especially some playmaking moments that looked good early in this game. He did have 4 assists, but the shooting was abysmal. 2 of 12 shooting, 0 of 5 from long distance, missing some point blank, like wide open shots that he absolutely should be making. Finished the game with 8 points. He had 3 turnovers. Just not a great look for Jalen Green. Only played 24 minutes. Alp, same thing, only 24 minutes. He had 9 points, not much better. 2 of 8 shooting for Alp. Missed his only 3-pointer. Alp did have 10 rebounds, so I will say, like, he was still fighting on the glass, but his approach offensively was concerning, because it really felt like he was getting in his own head and being frustrated because there were some shots that he was missing, like point blank looks that he normally hits, that he was just completely off on. And there were a lot of moments in this game where he would go to make a move and he'd be right under the basket, draw a second defender, whatever, or draw even a third defender sometimes. And he would, try to force up a bad attempt, or it would lead to a turnover or whatever. And there was a stretch, I remember, I believe it was in the third quarter, where Alp had like 2 or 3 possessions in a row where he got the ball, was doing his thing down low, drew a second defender, whatever, and Jabari is like sitting on the 3-point line, like wide open, like no defender within like miles of Jabari Smith Jr., just like hands at the ready for the kick out pass. And Alp was just tunnel visioning and was so focused on trying to score that he wasn't looking to pass. And Alpe's emergence as the Rockets' best player this season has been fantastic to see. I do think that there are some times where he does get a little bit tunnel visioned trying to score the basketball. And look, deservedly so. He's been the most consistent offensive piece for this Rockets team. And he's a walking 20, 10, and 5. Like, I think if anybody's allowed to be maybe a little selfish with the basketball at times, it should be Alperen Sengun, because he's still a phenomenal passer and he still gets his teammates involved at a very high level. So I'm nitpicking now, but when it comes to star level players, you're going to have to nitpick sometimes. And look, Alpe had an off game, I believe, the last time these two teams played against each other, if I'm not mistaken. And if anybody's allowed to have an off night for this team, it's Alpe, because he's been the most consistent piece for this Rockets team this season. He's been their best player. This team doesn't have the success that it has this season without Alperen Sengun playing at the level that he's been consistently playing at. So again, maybe it was a flu game. Maybe he was just out of it, but it's been a rough couple games for Alpe. I need to see him bounce back. And again, hopefully it's not like a mental thing, whatever, but he's set the bar for himself. And the bar for Alpe is set incredibly high. So when he has a bad game like this, it is a little concerning. So I want to know, how concerned are you? Let me know in the YouTube comments. How do you feel about Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun and their respective games here in this one? I know Jalen has been a bit more inconsistent this season. We've had some bad games from Jalen Green already. The bad games are much fewer and further between for Alperen Sengun. So it's a bit more concerning when you see your best player have a game like this one. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about like the long-term ramifications or whatever from this. It's just, these are little things to monitor, right? How does Alpe respond to this? How does Alpe respond to being benched? Does he come out next game with more edge, more focus, more intensity? Because like Ime said, it felt like they were sleepwalking through that first half. And especially in that third quarter, the physicality wasn't there. Jaren Jackson Jr. was able to kind of get whatever he wanted. And it really did feel like they didn't have the desire to play, right? That they didn't want to be out there playing. So maybe some of that boils down to, yeah, there's a bug flying around the locker room and Jalen and Alpe are the most recent victims and they're just feeling under the weather. Maybe there's more to it. But this is the second straight game now that Jalen Green has been benched for the entire fourth quarter. Alpe was benched for the entire fourth quarter. There were plays in this game where, like, this was maybe the first game this season where I was questioning the effort from Jalen, from Alperen Sengun. There were some flashes of like the old, like Silas era Rockets effort, like not chasing out two guys on closeouts, right? Giving up wide open threes, bad communication defensively, all these different like breakdowns. So maybe we just chalk it up as a one-off and we'll see what happens next game. But one thing that we can be absolutely certain of is this is not play that Ime Udoka will tolerate. So I'm not worried about this becoming like a trend where suddenly, like, you know, this is going to be the everyday norm for Jalen and for Alpe. I just want to see how they respond to Ime challenging them, because this is like Ime was basically calling him out post game by saying that, you know, what did the bench unit have that the starters did in this game? Well, they had a desire to play. They wanted to be out there. They were playing with urgency. All the different things that Ime said. So I want to see how these two guys respond to this moment moving forward. We know that there have been moments in the past where they both struggled and they've both been challenged, and they both had moments where they've responded really well. So what does this look like going forward for this Rockets team, especially because their very next game is against this exact same Memphis Grizzlies team. So it's actually almost like tailor-made for a perfect bounce back opportunity for both of these guys, because you literally get to walk out and face the exact same team again, just in Memphis this time on the road. So I'm optimistic that we'll see Jalen and Alpe respond the right way to being benched. But at some point, man, you know, with the way that Tari Eason is playing, I know it's two back-to-back games, but it's been a consistent trend where Tari is a difference maker. He impacts winning at a very high level. At some point, do we have a conversation about should Tari Eason be in the starting lineup for this Rockets team? And who would you take out of the starting lineup to put Tari Eason in the starting lineup? So that's food for thought. That's something to mull over. It's something to consider, because if Tari keeps playing at this level, I don't know if you can get away with keeping him on the bench. Or maybe you do. Maybe Tari Eason's energy and the way that he changes the flow of a game is more impactful coming off the bench than it is throwing him into the starting lineup if you were to take out, say, Jalen Green from the starters. I don't know. It's just something to consider because, again, Tari has been playing out, just absolutely out of his mind. So keep that in the back pocket. Think about it. Few other thoughts from this one. Jae'Sean Tate just doing his thing off the Rockets bench. He was a key part of the Rockets taking the lead and establishing the lead there in the first half. His first half minutes were really important. He had 10 points, 4 of 9 shooting, only 1 of 4 from behind the 3-point line, and only 1 of 3 at the free throw line. But he had 7 rebounds, he had 3 assists, he had a steal, including one of his assists. Oh my God. Play of the game, the lob that he threw up to Tari Eason. My goodness, that was a vicious lob. Like, Jae'Sean was, I didn't know if he was going to be able to corral the pass in time because he was kind of like bobbling it in transition. He got past the free throw line before he got the ball up, but he got it up and Tari Eason was able to just, it was right there on the money and Tari was able to slam it home. Toyota Center erupted off of that pass. A great play there, some great play, some great hustle, and some good physicality from Jae'Sean Tate off the Rockets bench. And then I want to highlight, it was NBA paint night. So I'm wearing my Rockets NBA paint shirt in honor of NBA paint night, the first of its kind in the NBA landscape. And I met NBA Paint themselves, great person. It was fantastic to be able to, talk to them and just, let them know that their work was really fun and awesome. And I know it's kind of a meme to some fans, but I thought it was a really cool themed night. They did, little themed, players, and they had all sorts of, graphics and stuff all throughout the evening. The win graphic was awesome. In space, nobody can hear you gurr with the Rockets this little rocket flying off with the grizzly bear strapped to its back. So that was a ton of fun. Just wanted to highlight that because a shout out to Rockets marketing, Hunter, all the guys over there for pulling that together and making it happen, because there were a lot of fans that had a really good time with that. So just wanted to give some credit to the organization for that one. But I think that's going to look, this was a game where Jaren Jackson Jr. dominated and had his way because the Rockets sleptwalk through parts of this game. He posted 44 points on 15 of 24 shooting. And, that's really kind of inexcusable, right? The Rockets let Jaren Jackson Jr. do whatever he wanted, and they were able to, settle things down in that fourth quarter and pull out the win. I want to see them respond in a big way in Friday's game. That's what I'm looking for, is I want to see them come out and play like the better team for all 4 quarters. I don't want to see them fall asleep and have a quarter or an end of a half where they struggle and let the Grizzlies get back into it. I want to see them dominate all 4 quarters against the Grizzlies in their next meetup, and they'll have a chance to. So we'll see what it looks like the next time these two teams get together on Friday. But that's going to do it for thoughts from this one. As always, thank you so much for checking out the show. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Let me know your thoughts about Ime Udoka benching Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun in the YouTube comments. How concerned are you with their play from this game? Do you brush it off as a one-off occurrence, or do you think it's a symptom of something to be concerned about moving forward? Let me know in the YouTube comments. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.